Hello, this is the Watchdog, and welcome back to Fun with Watches. If watches weren't fun, you'd only need one. Today we're going to be reviewing the Island Watch Islander ISL 60 Monster. This watch costs $280 and it can only be purchased from Island Watch. It's early in the morning, so I have my morning voice. My wife tells me it's a little bit scratchy in the morning, like I smoked 20 cigarettes before I started. Don't worry, I haven't smoked in over 20 years. Let's start out with the wrist check. I'm wearing my Citizen Blue Angels Echo Drive World Chronograph. And Greg was wearing a Ben Nevis SKX clone. Grego wants to visit Boba Fett for afternoon tea and biscuits. He says he makes the best boba tea. This review is sponsored by Island Watch as they supplied the watch for the review. This watch is given for review purposes only, and I do have to return it. I am not obligated to give this watch a positive review, but that is unlikely since I was allowed to pick out the watch to review, and I wasn't about to pick out a crappy one. I would like to thank Mark at Island Watch. This is the second watch he has provided and took quite a risk the first time and took me at my word that I would return it. My last review of his luminous wave watch did not get the amount of traffic I was hoping for, and he could have easily said no when I asked for a second watch, and I would have understood. Be sure to check out the Island Watch website. I will leave a link in the description, but it is easy enough to remember, longislandwatch.com. If you have not been to his site in a while, Mark totally revamped it several months ago. Island Watch has a great selection of watches, and Mark is an authorized dealer for every watch he sells, and thus you get the full factory warranty. You might find watches cheaper on eBay, but if anything goes wrong, you are on your own. Okay, let's see the watch. I already did an unboxing video, but in case you missed it, I'll unbox it again. Here's the watch. It comes on this nice little white pillow. And if you look inside the box, instead of getting a warranty card, you just get a little instruction manual to tell you where to go find the warranty. Since you can only buy the watch from Island Watch, I'm pretty sure they'll know if you bought it from them or not. This watch is based on the Seiko Monster. I would say that Mark Islander watches aren't so much homages of Seikos as they are Seiko compatible. Island Watch caters to watch modders, and the Islanders are designed to fit parts for the Seikos. So if you get a hands designed for a monster, or a bezel designed for a monster, or a bracelet designed for a monster, they should fit an Island Watch monster. I chose the blue colorway. There's also black, red, white, and a fully lumed one. Surprisingly enough, there's not an orange one. Orange is very popular among the actual Seiko monsters. The monster has a fairly unique look for a diver's watch. If you haven't figured it out, it has its nickname because the dial resembles the gaping maw of some terrifying ocean beast. This dial resembles the Generation 1 Seiko with the more conventional indices and the minute numbers on the lesser indices. For Generation 2 Seikos, they made the indices look like shark teeth and there are no numbers. Just for reference, here's my Heimdallr monster that has the Generation 2 style. As you can see, the indices look like shark teeth. This is the only time during the review I will show you this Heimdallr. I'll be doing a comparison between the two watches in a future video. There's always a debate about which monster dial is preferred. I like the Gen 2 teeth because I think it's just more fun. Others prefer Gen 1 thinking the whole shark tooth thing is just a bit too much. The watch is 41.5 millimeters at the bezel, 47.5 millimeters lug to lug, 14.5 millimeters thick, 20 millimeter lug width, and weighs 187 grams with one link removed. So it's a fairly heavy watch, but it's solidly built, so you can kind of expect some weight to it. The Monster bezel is different than most divers, as it's all steel with no insert. The numbers and minute markers are deeply engraved and have a nice black color to it. The edges have these little slots in them, which makes getting a grip a little bit easier. And the bezel also slopes inward, giving the appearance that's a little larger. The 120 click bezel action is a little bit disappointing. It's very light, and you can't feel the clicks as distinctly as you can with some other watches. And I don't know if you can even hear them, because a lot of watches make a nice loud click. This one you can barely hear them. But there's no back play, and the Lume pip lines up nicely with the 12 o'clock. We reviewers tend to overemphasize the bezel action of diver watches when we review them, just because we can't actually take our diver watches diving when we review them. So we have to compare something. The dial is a flat color without the sunburst effect. The Islander logo sits alone on top with the word automatic and depth rating on the bottom. It doesn't say divers on the watch because this is not ISO 6425 certified. That doesn't mean that this watch can't meet the standards, but it has not been individually tested. So if you actually want to take this watch diving, you should go get it tested yourself. On Mark's website, he says that you should not ever use one of his watches as a primary diver's watch. It should be a backup to a diver's computer. The borderless indices are painted on with many coats of luminous paint. It's very thick. I don't know if you can see it or not, but man, they're painted on good. The Lume is good. I'll show you the Lume later, but it's very impressive. The minute markers are on a chapter ring. I don't know if you can see it very well, if I had a better camera. And the chapter ring has little cutouts for the indices so they lay flat. The 12 o'clock index has a line down the middle that you can barely see. It really shows up though when the Lume is active. That gives it the appearance of your two front teeth. The watch has an NH36 with a day-date complication, with a choice between English or Spanish for the days. A lot of watches have Japanese instead of Spanish. The date window has a nice white border and thankfully no cyclops. The white background of the day and date is appropriate because the day-date is taking place of a major index. I only like it when the background matches the dial color if it's not an index position. The watch has been running about 6 seconds fast a day since I started wearing it. I'm not going to show you a time graph because for an NH35 or 36, it really doesn't matter because position is so important. They're good workhorse movements for the price, but they just don't have the consistency of a higher end movement. So I could move position, do a time graph, and show you how great it's running. And I could do another position, show you a time graph, and show you how bad it's running. Plus, I tend to find that NH35s, 36s always seem to run a little bit faster when you're wearing them than when you're not wearing them. I don't know if it has to do with your body's magnetic field or if it's just your body heat. I've asked this question many times and nobody can ever give me a straight answer. The case is solid stainless steel with a combination of brushing and polishing. As you can see, it's polished here, brushed on the sides, and the bottom of the case is polished, which is kind of unique. Usually the bottom of cases are brushed, but that's kind of cool because it matches the case back. Monsters have a little mini shroud at the 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock positions, but it's not an independent shroud like a tuna. It's built into the case. This makes it a little bit more difficult though to spin the bezel as your fingers get caught on the shroud, which makes the light bezel action of this watch a little bit more forgivable. If it was a lot stiffer, it would be a lot more difficult to spin. The screw-in case back has the Long Island logo on the back in the middle of Long Island, and it says sapphire and gives a 200 meters water resistance. The crystal is indeed sapphire, and it's a double dome sapphire with AR coating, and does a pretty good job of not reflecting the light. As you can see, it only reflects it when it's dead on. It has a signed crown. There, see the Islander logo at the 4 o'clock position, really the 3:45 position. It does make a difference. If it was at the 4 o'clock, it would be in a lot more, but that's the Seiko design. It has this little crown guard here, which is just a little pop-up here, and the shroud is the other side of the crown guard. This crown guard design is kind of makes unscrewing the crown a little annoying because your fingers grab against the crown guard. When you unscrew the crown, though, it does pop out nicely, and you know when it's unscrewed. And when you screw it back in, the threading action is pretty good. It doesn't feel rough. I don't think there's any danger of cross-threading it. Monster watches have short lugs, which gives a big watch a smaller footprint. But that short lug design means that you're not going to have fitted end links. Which is fine though, because that makes finding another bracelet or strap much easier, because you don't have to worry about if it fits it. All you need is to find something with the right width. And the lugs are drilled, which makes changing bracelets and straps super easy, because you can remove the other one nice easily, even if it doesn't have quick release. The bracelet is what I call monster style, because I only ever see these on monsters. I could be wrong. If it's common to another style watch, let me know in the comments. This is a learning process for me also. It has nice brush links with polished tabs, which gives a nice effect. And thankfully, this one has screw-in pins rather than the pin and collar system of the real Seiko bracelet. There's lots of complaints about sizing a pin and collar bracelet, but this one's nice and easy. Island Watch provides the screwdriver that fits it with the watch, so you don't even have to worry about it. Sizing this bracelet was a breeze, but I only had to remove one link to fit it on my 7.5-inch wrist. So if you have a really big wrist, you might have to order an additional link. Either that or get the larger clasp. Speaking of the clasp, it's identical to the other Island watch I reviewed. It's just your basic milled scissor clasp with a pressed enclosing with only 3 micro adjusts. I really prefer clasps that have at least 4, because I think 4 is the perfect amount, because 4 is larger than 1 link. So you're always at a position where you can find that perfect fit if your wrist swells or shrinks. You don't want to be in a position where you have to add a link or remove a link to get that perfect fit. The clasp does a good job, but it's very basic and there's really nothing special about it. Here's the watch on my 7.5-inch wrist. Looks real nice, fits good. I'm going to put the watch on a NATO strap, but I wanted to show you first that it comes with these really big, thick spring bars. These are really sturdy, so you have no issues about breaking your spring bars when you change straps. Here's the watch on my No Time to Die James Bond NATO. Looks nice. Since the spring bars are so thick, the watch isn't going anywhere, so you don't have to use the second strap as a keeper. I folded it over, which gives the watch a little bit lower profile than if you have both straps underneath the case back. Here's the watch on a vintage leather strap. Looks good. This monster is a real strap monster. Here we are in the Lume room to check out the watch Lume. Once again, since my camera is not very good in the dark, I'm going to have to give this a charge. It would be a better test to show the watch without charging it first, just to see how it does under regular light. But my camera just will not show off the Lume without a good charge from the UV flashlight. So here we go. Nice good charge here. Turn off the... And there's the Lume. As you can see, it's very impressive. Nice bright color. And as you can see too, the hands and the Lume pip is a little bit brighter than the Indices. It's always nice it's that way instead of the other way around. You don't want the hands to fade before the Indices. You'd rather have the Indices fade before the hands. And the Lume pip's really good. A lot of watches go cheap with the Lume pip, but not this one. What do I like about this watch? Well, it's got a really solid build. Everything's really nice. Really good brushwork. The watch feels substantial. I don't see any flaws in the finish. And I love the fact that it has screw-in pins rather than push pin and collar system. And it's got really great Lume. Just overall a really good watch. So what are my gripes and groans? Well, the weak bezel action is kind of disappointing. Once again, how important is great bezel action? And I do prefer the Gen 2 monster teeth versus the Gen 1, but that's just my personal preference. And the unsigned clasp is just kind of meh. It works, but there's nothing really special about it. And I wish it had 4 micro adjusts instead of 3. Do I recommend this watch? Of course I do. This watch is great. For 280 bucks, you're getting a nice monster compatible watch. So if you want to change anything with it, anything designed for a monster will fit this watch. Well, thanks for watching my review. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And I'll be back next time with a comparison between this monster and the Heimdallr monster I have. Which watch will come out on top? Stay tuned to find out. Bye.